Hey, what's up? It's your boy, 24/7 here with New Bomb Turk. Hopefully, we'll be joined by Baron Norman Tag and Vigilante Williamson, and we are the Primetime Kings. So, hopefully, everyone's doing well out there, and we thank you all for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. Shit. Uh,
No problem.
you know, how you doing, man? How you feeling today, man?
Doing all right. Got some decent sleep, so I'm actually awake.
Yeah, that's yeah, actually, probably after this, I'll probably be taking a nap, but that's neither here nor there, man. But thank you for being here with me, man. And um, let me see who we have in the chat. We got Keely Chow in the house. What's going on, brother? Says, hey everybody. We got Lady Miss. How you doing, Lady Miss? Thank you for being here. And hopefully we'll be joined by more as time goes on. Das Wolf, and what's going on? Man, it's been a minute since I've seen you, man. Yeah, hopefully you're doing good. Hail to the Primetime Kings. Huh. I know that I am actually excited to be here. I thought I was gonna be, I thought we were gonna come on a little bit later, but I'm just thankful that things, wrapped up fairly quickly and we're able to get on now versus later, so
That works.
yeah.
How's your family, by the way?
Yeah, everybody's good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah,
had
no
a good
problem.
time, and my son he'll be coming back to see me in about 2 weeks.
Cool.
So, it's always good to be around the kids. He just turned 19 on Saturday.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, but he's in college. He's doing great, man, and I'm proud of him. So it's good to see him, and he finally got him a little girlfriend, and he's yeah, he's taking care of himself, and I'm just thankful that he's doing good, and shit, the only thing I want is for him to go further than me, man. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's all anybody's parents ever wanted for their kids.
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, but everything's good, and I'm just thankful to be here, with you and everybody else here, and I'm, it's a good day, so I can't complain.
Good deal.
And sounds like your son is living his best life so far. Yeah, he is. He is. He's going to college for sports medicine. So, there's a lot
Nice.
of different things he can do with that, and and he's also taking a fitness too. So, there's a lot of things he can do with rehabilitation. He can go work for, like, we live in Houston, so he can work for like the Houston Astros or the Texans, or for a sports team if he's good enough.
Right.
And there's a lot of rehabilitation centers. There's a lot of places that can use someone.
You got a lot of colleges nearby too, don't you? Like his
Right.
own
Well,
colleges, even.
right. He's going to U of H, University of Houston. So there's
Yeah.
University of Houston. There's Texas Southern University. There's Prairie View
Right.
A&M.
Yep.
There's also what's that? There's a Baptist college. I forgot what the name of it is. But yeah, there's like I'd say within an hour uh, from where I'm at.
Right.
There's and then there's also Houston Community College if all else
Mhm.
fails.
No,
Yeah.
let's hope the best.
Right, right. So I mean, he graduated with a 4.0 GPA. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, he's pretty smart, man. on Saturday he took a test, and I was like, "How many questions was the test?" He was like, "It was just 10 questions, but I got 100." It's like, psh.
It sounds like he's got it locked down.
Yeah. He's he's very good at studying and trying to know his shit. So I'm thankful that he takes it serious. So it's a good thing, man. I'm I can't complain. But yeah, Das Wolfen, yeah, he's living his best life so far, and he has a long way to go. So just thankful that he's getting there. So that's the fun part. On getting your way to the top is the journey. So it'll depending on how hard you work for it, you appreciate it more when you got to go through some things to get it instead of some shit being handed down to you.
Right. Makes you grateful for the things.
Right.
You
Yeah.
have.
Make you appreciate it more. So, but yeah. Other than that, I got a daughter, 16, and she's in 10th grade and she's doing good. So, just I love the kids, man. It's all about the kids. And Das Wolfen says, plus there's all the online options. Most universities have online degree programs now too. That how I am taking my master's in network management. It's interesting you say that because my son just told me he's staying on campus on campus for the summer. He's taking summer classes just to get ahead.
Right.
And and I thought I was like, yo, during the summer you have to actually go into class. He was like, nah, we do for the summertime, we do everything online.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've done that before too.
Right. So during the school year, he's in front of his professors and everything, and during the summer, for extra credit, he has to do everything online. So yeah.
So, I think I did a geology class for requirements or whatever, and that was all online.
Shit, did it take you a long time to get it done?
Oh no, it was just a semester.
Oh, okay.
So it was basically just one summer.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely helped because then I got to the point where I could graduate on time instead of behind because I was working full time and going back to school. So getting the full 18 credits per semester was difficult without taking summer classes. But yeah, it's interesting. Das Wolfen mentions network management. A buddy of mine is a sysadmin, and he was originally working for one of the resorts that are in Tucson, and they were really kind of shafting him for a while. And he's a really smart dude, but they just would not pay him. And he ended up hooking up with a guy that he had known for a while within the business. Guy works out of Vegas, and he works from home as a sysadmin, and he's six figures.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like maybe a couple times a year, he'll have to go up to Vegas to work with a client or whatever.
Right.
But he's like completely independent and like basically just does contract work. But he's definitely getting paid what he's worth because dude is smart. Like he's the only dude I know that'll work on a car in dress slacks and a button-up shirt
and get it done.
Right. And it's like the weirdest thing ever. I'm there in t-shirts and jeans, right? Worried about like messing up my jeans because I got grease on them, and he's there dressed up to the hilt working on a car. It's insane.
Damn. Yeah, I know, right? That's crazy. Oh shit. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's strange to see. Definitely. He's like the guy you would never think to be a complete motorhead, and he's 100 times motorhead, but he's also like a software and hardware geek too.
Right. Oh, that's awesome, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's
get into this one?
Yeah. Let's get into this now for everybody. I found this article, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Das Wolfman says, "Yeah, six figures is not out of the realm for my degree either." All right.
Yeah, it's pretty common in that. Yeah,
Shit, that's some good money, man.
it is.
And so with this article, I saw this article came out last year, and for some reason, it popped into my news feed. That I look at every day, and I've
Right.
never seen it before. And I was telling Newbomb, I was like, "Yo, this, I thought this be interesting for everybody to see." And basically, what it is showing. It had to be about maybe 20, maybe 25 characters, and showing how they look like, whether on the movie screen or TV screen versus how they're actually supposed to be looking like in the comic books.
Right.
So they're going to try to show comic accurate pictures of these characters or these actors along with, next to their, the way you would actually see them in movies or in TV. So, again, I thought it was interesting, and it looks like, I'm not sure if the first picture that we see here is actually the first one.
Yeah,
Or
it is. It's the top one. I mean, they jump into it after that with like other
Right.
characters. But see, now this is interesting too, because with Peter Quill,
Right.
the comic accurate one that they show,
Right.
technically there's a variant of that in Guardians 3 with that logo on the front. And it was from the comics, it was the Annihilation run, which included what's his face, Adam Warlock as
Right.
part of the Guardians. So that's kind of why they pulled some of the elements from this particular image.
Right.
The double-breasted jacket and the shield type logo on the front. I mean, you can see in some of the movies they try to get a hint
Right.
of a comic accurate without being completely impractical in some cases. The only issue I take with the helmet,
Uh-huh.
obviously there is, if you look at that helmet, it has not the mask part of it, but the helmet itself. There are some connotations to that style helmet and where it originates from. Inspiration from, say, a German World War II helmet. Right. So you have to kind of dance around certain situations, and yet, like, if you look at his helmet in like the first two movies,
Right.
it looks like the mask part, but they've removed that helmet part.
Right.
So, and there may be reasons behind it. They may never actually say why, but it's kind of obvious when you look at that image, like, oh, that helmet looks kind of like an SS helmet. Like, ooh. I mean, it's more drastic when you look at the movie picture, because this is not from the newest movie. It's from, I believe, the first movie.
Right.
With the hard red leather jacket.
Right.
So I mean, there's a bigger drastic difference between the two. If they would have taken a Guardians 3 image of him, like when they're walking down the ramp of their ship, where he's actually in the double-breasted jacket,
Right.
it looks a bit closer.
Huh.
But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, they try to get some of the elements in. I mean, the Hawkeye one, I kind of laughed because everybody really wanted a traditional outfit for him.
Yeah, I
And-
did too, man.
I don't know, man. That mask in real life.
Well, honestly, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at like for an example, I'm looking at the first costume in the purple, and I'm
Right.
looking at it, and I'm like, if someone was to actually really put the work in on let's say on the mask part, they could have made the exact same thing, but make it come off to where it doesn't look so chumpy. Like it looks like, it looks like I don't know. It just,
It looks like a Halloween costume almost.
Right. And I mean, but I think if a real cosplayer was to really sit there and really work on it and really try to adapt the way Hawkeye looks when he puts it on back in the 80s, when he really fucking wore that outfit.
Right.
I think it could look better. For an example, if you look at, let's say, different versions of the Flash, you have like John Wesley Shipp, you have the guy that been the Flash for like almost the last 10 years in the CW, and then you have fucking Ezra Miller.
Right.
So if you look at all three of them, you can honestly say that, John Wesley Shipp or the Flash from the CW, their mask works.
Right. And they're the most comic accurate out of the three.
And then when you sit there and you look at Ezra Miller's mask, you're like, well,
it looks like patchwork armor, like
right,
with the wire holding the pieces together, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it looks pretty packed. I will say this. I mean, there have been evolutions. The guy on CW is Grant Gustin.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And there have been evolutions as they've gone through their 10-year run or whatever it is.
Right.
So, like, what he's wearing now isn't exactly the same as what he wore in the pilot episode or the first couple episodes.
Like season 1, season 2, yeah.
Right. And you could tell there was a budget thing going on there, where it was like the pilot and the first couple episodes, they were like on a shoestring budget. And as it got popular, they could put more into it. So a lot of the representations of each of the characters upgraded as time went on.
Right. What's up, Zax? You got Zax and her face just in the house.
Right.
Yeah, man. Hopefully you guys are doing well. But yeah, to be honest, I still dig the purple better.
Oh, I love the color. Yeah,
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I've always liked the purple on him. I just think there's certain situations, and we talked about this before we went live.
Right.
There's certain situations that, like, if you've seen a person wearing the left image, that costume, you're like, what party are you going to, bro?
Right.
like you would call it out as kind of like, man, that looks a little goofy. There could have been more effort into making it look a little bit more realistic.
Right.
Because even if you look, you take the Shield logo off the movie accurate one, and they didn't do purple; they did kind of this maroon underneath,
right,
which didn't look right. But I mean, even the shoulders look similar. They don't follow the shoulder down; they stick out, almost like a deflector or whatever.
Right.
The biggest difference is the color and the mask and headgear, which I could do without a character having a big H on his forehead. I don't think that's necessary.
Well,
right.
Well, let me ask you this: Do they let you to at least highlight the picture, or like if you click on it, will it?
No, there's nothing there to click on. It's just that image. I mean, I could zoom in, but
yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Yeah, they could.
Like you can see, like down in here. I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah. I see it.
It's not purple, or it's at least not this purple. It's a variation that's much darker and almost looks maroon instead of purple. If they had gone for a purple suit that was in good taste, it would have been fine.
Right.
And I think they could have got away with it. And even, purple on the flights, like you could do that. Yeah, I don't know if the man, like, hiding his face was never a really big priority. And of course it's never for any actor. No actor wants to hide their face when they're acting. But yeah, I mean, they could have. I don't dislike his uniform in the movies.
I just think they could have gotten a little closer. But you'll see this later on. There's like these scales.
Right.
They tried to do the same thing with Captain America,
Right.
and kind of ingrain the scales into the outfit. Yeah.
Right.
But let's see here. Who's next? This one. This one I had a chuckle at. I thought it was kind of funny.
You know, as I'm looking at this, like, no shit, I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know shit about computers, man, but I'm like, how the fuck did they, dress them up like this, and put the clothes on the characters? I don't know, man. I guess you can do some amazing shit with a computer, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, a lot of it is Photoshop or some sort of digital image creation.
Well, and again, for it to be Photoshop, I could see if someone with a good cosplay ability can actually make like this kind of looks like the mask part, especially looks a little crazy, but I could see someone putting it together to where it would actually look cool and be damn near the same exact design.
Right. Well, and this also is a prime example of them taking a colorful outfit and making it very drab.
Right.
A lot of blacks and grays and silvers and, to tone down the coloring. But that also kind of worked into, like, in the MCU's backstory of Falcon, he was a military paradiver, whatever. They created the whole thing from fiction because there's no such thing in the Air Force. But, right, like you say, okay, well, he's wearing military gear, and more than likely the dark colors are for, night missions or whatever.
Yeah, stealth and shit.
So
yeah.
Stealth, exactly. So,
Right.
like, you go, okay, I can buy into that, but he's not doing that anymore, so he doesn't necessarily need the blackout treatment for the outfit.
Right.
You could do the same outfit, but do it with the colors of the classic costume,
Right.
and it would look better. And then, of course, everything's got to be, well worn and beat up. So you see, like, all this, like the red is, like, removed from sections of the plating because it's, he's been through combat or whatever. But yeah, the mask, I mean, it's just goggles at the end of the day when you look at it on the MCU side. They could have, like, you can see, yeah, okay, there's a little bit of gold here. That doesn't really represent this.
Right.
You could have made the whole middle section gold and made it look closer to this.
Right. Exactly.
And then, like, maybe paint those goggles white. That would have, made more sense for. And of course, now he's in the Captain America uniform. That's the Falcon Captain America uniform. And it's basically what we're describing. That's what he's wearing now, only with blue. So he's red, white, and blue. So he sticks out like a sore thumb.
It's funny. Actually, the Captain America Falcon suit that he has, and and I've seen how it looks like in the new
in the show, yeah,
in the show, and it looks more like the first picture to the left.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, there's elements of both,
right?
Because when he did take the mantle in the comics, he did have red, white, and blue. So it was just a variation of what's on the left with blue added to the suit, and more of a star-spangled kind of look to it. So oddly enough, he went from drab and military-like to almost more comic book accurate in that represenation. The show was garbage, but
yeah, it's trash.
Yeah, it was complete trash.
I remember I watched it all the way till they had their BLM moment. And I checked.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny that when one element got closer to comic book, the other element fell off.
Yeah, when Yeah, when him and Bucky were
Bucky,
fucking
yeah.
walking down the street and the cops rolled up on them, I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
kinda dumb.
I was done at that moment, man.
And especially for characters like that, like maybe not with Bucky because Bucky's a very different character, but with Falcon, who's a very upfront character, at least, at that point, like you would think somebody would recognize him. At least one of the two cops would recognize him. Like, oh, hey, aren't you Falcon? Like that, none of that happened. It was just, oh, some black dude and some white dude. And it must be the black dude's fault. Like, okay.
Right. I'm just glad that show's over, man. Shit.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get New World Order soon enough. This one's
All
interesting.
Right. What's up, ZBR?
This one, I like the original suit. I grew up with that Superman, so I have no problem with them putting him in that, and then adding the curl, of course. But in all honesty, this is just an image of Christopher Reeve with Henry Cavill's face over it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't mind the darker colors, but again, that kind of fit into the whole Zack Snyder, everything must be dreary kind of image.
Right. When Zack first hired Henry Cavill, you ever see the picture he put him in Christopher Reeve suit?
Yeah, I remember that. And he looked good in it. Like it looked fine.
Right. And plus he was thinner too.
Yeah, he hadn't built himself up yet. Yeah.
Right. So imagine
Christopher Reeve wasn't a huge, like he was tall,
right.
But he wasn't like, beefy built like a lot of the guys are now.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't built like fucking Henry Cavill. Hell no.
No, yeah. But that's the difference in filmmaking from back then till now,
Right.
But yeah, I could definitely see. Now we'll see what James Gunn does with his Superman and how he decides to approach the suit. I assume at some point because they're going to start filming soon, aren't they?
Well, actually, I mean, it's supposed to be coming out for, it has a good year and a half. Well, actually, 2 years.
Oh yeah,
it comes out.
Yeah, so I mean,
around the summertime of 2025. So right now they're trying to figure out the casting. I know James Gunn before the writer's strike he put in the first draft, but the whole thing to it is people are like, well, he's gonna start doing the movie. I was like, well, who the fuck shoots a movie off the first draft?
Well, it's been done before.
Right, but I mean,
not necessarily successfully, but it's been done before.
Right. Well, the thing is, this is supposed to be your flagship movie. Like, basically, if James Gunn fucks up Superman, you might as well kill. You might as well kiss the whole rest of his. Yeah, kiss the rest of these phases, and nobody's gonna have no faith in none of these movies. So
right,
man.
And I know a lot of people want to kind of shit on James Gunn. Right. But honestly, like, again, if we go back up here, I don't think he did horrible with the Guardians. Taking a comic book series that not everybody really knew, except for like hardcore fans.
Right.
And making the first film super successful, the second one semi-successful, and the third one isn't bad, but it just seems like, typical MCU formulaic. This is the end of the run, so to speak, for that particular cast. But honestly, I don't think he did bad with the design elements, as far as like what the characters should look like. Oop, going too far. Oops. It could definitely be worse. I'll say that.
Right. Actually, I would have just preferred with this one. I would have preferred to see Henry Cavill in the light blue suit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, Superman without the trunks is that's a Superman with no hope, man. That's the that's because
Well,
he's
yeah.
the New 52 Superman. And the funny thing is, if we really want to be comic book accurate, the New 52 Superman died. He's
Right.
dead. So why keep moving on with a Superman that is not even in fucking existence, man? He's gone. It's like it's just see
no answer
the
for
thing is the way they had it was okay when Flashpoint hit. The reason why when at the end of Flashpoint when Barry Allen was trying to get the when he was trying to get Earth back to its original state,
right,
something happened and it turned into the New 52.
right,
Then later on, it was said that, hey, Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen stepped in and was playing, toying around with what Barry Allen was doing, and he altered the, existence so that the New 52 happened. But when he did that, he took the real Wally West, redhead Wally West. He took our original Superman, our original Lois Lane, and a couple of other heroes, and he kind of cast them out of existence, and basically put them in another dimension or some shit like that. So during the time that the whole New 52 was happening, Clark Kent he was in another existence, and he ended up getting Lois pregnant in that other existence, and that's how Jonathan was born.
right.
So Jonathan wasn't even born on Earth or no shit like that. He was born in another dimension, like in another plane or some shit like that. And Lois Lane, Jonathan, and Superman, along with Wally West and a handful of other heroes that were kind of kicked out of the New 52 continuity, they had to fight their way back into our existence.
Right.
So when they finally did that, which was around maybe
the
20
Rebirth, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it led into Rebirth, but they showed up. I know Clark Kent showed up first. So when he showed up, this had to be around maybe 2015, 2016, something like that. So when he showed back up, he saw that my Earth already has another Superman, and he was like, well, who the fuck is this? And he's looking at the New 52 Superman, and he was like, well, if you already have a Superman, I can just kind of live my life, as a regular dude. He had his powers, but he was like, well, I can just kind of live as a regular guy, and things started happening that he noticed, and he had to kind of like step in. And basically become Superman again, but then he realized that the New 52 Superman got murdered. He got killed. So, he was like, well, somebody has to be Superman. Why not the guy who was originally Superman?
Right.
And then there came a storyline that Jonathan Kent found out that the New 52 Superman existed. And what happened was he ended up this happened in this one comic book, and I would have to look it up online, but the New 52 Superman and the current Superman, they basically meshed into one. And the Lois Lane from the New 52 combined with our current day Lois Lane, and the Lois Lane we grew up knowing and loving, and they ended up becoming one person. So it was a weird fucking storyline, but what happened was the New 52 Superman, he was killed by some kind of doomsday virus, and he ended up dying. So it's like, everybody's going Google Gaga over Henry Cavill Superman, and I'm like, well, shit, his Superman died like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, it's part of the problem why comics have been struggling. I mean, they keep writing themselves into a corner and then having to figure a way out of that. They've done it multiple times. And the studios that create the movies are like, we don't want all that shit. We don't want to have to try to explain all this shit to people that aren't comic book regulars. They want to, people who understand who Superman is in general. They understand what he stands for and whatnot. They, even if they don't read comics, they know of the character. And they always will return back to that point in time, or at least that character. So every Superman movie you get is always going to be an iteration of that original character.
Right.
Not all this other garbage that they put out, trying to get rid of him and then not get rid of him. When the death of Superman came out, like, everybody was like, oh my God, Superman's dead. Everybody's freaking out about it. He'll be back. He's going to be back. It's all marketing. Like this, that had nothing to do with story. That had everything to do with nobody's reading our books. We need to get people to read our books.
Right.
And so you do some fantastical, crazy thing with your primary character,
Right.
like the death of Superman, to get people to freak out and go, oh my God, I need to read this. And to get collectors to buy the special covers and all that other junk.
Right.
Where, if they would have just left well enough alone and just written proper stories, they wouldn't be in this situation that they're in.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Because how long did that last? The death of Superman to before he came back with a black suit.
If I'm not mistaken, about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't that long. And then for Batman, around that time he got his back broken, and it took him about 2.5 years to come back because they had the original Nightfall, and then they had Knight's Quest, and then they had Knight's End, and then at the very end, you had Azrael Batman with the armored suit going against Bruce Wayne, and that was called the Mantle of the Bat.
All right.
Where they had to fight to see who was going to be Batman at the end.
Yeah, and at least with Batman, like you can see that happening to Batman, and it fitting within his universe. Like you didn't kill him off, you set him to the side, and you kept up with him, but there was other things going on. So everybody understood, okay, well, he'll come back from that. He comes back from most of whatever damage he takes.
Right.
Because he's a tough character like that. Instead of doing just the death of, they did a, is this the end kind of thing.
Right.
Which in comic books tends to make more sense. It makes the characters a bit more relatable. Like, wow, he took a ton of damage, and can he continue on?
Right.
Which happens in everyday life. Like, you get in a car accident. Like, are you going to be able to walk again? Or these are things that regular people can relate to.
Right.
Coming back from death isn't something that most people can really attach themselves to.
What's up, Zachariah? 315. ZBR says love Cavill, but Reeves is my Superman. And
yeah.
I
mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he did a bad job. Within the context of the movies that he was in.
Yeah, it's always a script, man. It's
right.
A script. Yeah, he was the greatest Superman that we had since Reeve.
Yeah.
And then again, Brandon Ruth, or whatever you want to call him, he was pretty damn good. It was his script that fucked him up.
Yeah, that movie really suffered.
My goodness.
And it kills me too, because having Kevin Spacey there was a lot of talent in that movie that suffered from a bad story.
They had fucking Kumar from Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
For the White Castle. And then you saw what happened to him. Him and the two henchmen were running, and a fucking ice block fell on him.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, that was and oddly enough, it has one of the like one of these trailer scenes that actually I thought was cool. The point where the I don't know if it's a military member or somebody was shooting at Brandon Routh, the Superman.
Oh,
and the bullet bounces off his eyeball. It just bounces off. That was cool. That was, like that gave you a definitive, like, yeah, this guy's pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, like fucking, shooting him with a 50 cal is not gonna fuck with him. Yeah,
right.
They fucking unloaded on his ass too, man.
Yeah, they did. And he just stood there like, yeah, whatever.
Man, that was and then I mean,
oddly enough, Brandon actually represented more of what Christopher Reeve was than eventually what Cavill became. Because
right.
He was another guy. It wasn't really super built. He fit the costume a certain way and he looked a certain way, and that pretty much fit. Again, it's the story that completely fell apart on him.
The I guess the most defining scenes of let's say that Brandon Routh movie was him getting shot in the eyeball.
Yeah.
Him saving like trying to save that airplane that Lois Lane was on.
Yeah.
And then him landing the airplane in the middle of the baseball field.
Right, defying physics.
Right, and then the other scene was the one that they take out of Action Comics where he's fucking like he's stopping the car.
Oh yeah. Where
now
they hinted at the original cover or whatever.
Right, exactly. Now to me those were the most defining scenes in that movie. Other than that movie was, I mean, did you ever play the video game that went to that?
No, I didn't.
That would have to be the most. I'm not gonna say the best Superman game. It has to be. It was more like Superman mixed with GTA. Like he can go wherever, do whatever.
Okay, so it was like kind of a free roam.
Right, exactly. But it still wasn't that. It was a free roam that didn't do it as well. It was probably the best at its time, but it like you can tell there was so much more you could have done with it. But it's like they weren't there yet when that game came out. It was like they didn't know. It's like they didn't have. It wasn't like playing like Arkham Asylum,
right?
When they came with Arkham Asylum, then people knew what the fuck they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, almost all the Arkham games are really good.
Oh man, yeah, they were good. Actually, there was one that came out strictly on console. Meaning that
I think we lost you.
Meaning that they had one that when it came out strictly for the Xbox store.
Okay.
It was a prequel to the Arkham games, and I even bought it. I spent like $9.99. I couldn't tell you how many fucking years ago it was, and it was a prequel to the Arkham games, but it played like a side scroller.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was something that it never released on disc. And you have games out there that have came out that you can't buy it on disc. The only way you can own it or buy it is you have to buy it from the marketplace, from the game marketplace. Or if it was PlayStation, the only way you can buy some of those games that don't even get released on disc is you have to buy them from the PlayStation store.
Right.
And it was one of those games. It was a game that, it was a Batman Arkham prequel game that it was a 3D side scroller, but it's something that if you wanted to purchase it, you were only able to buy it, through the Xbox store or the PlayStation store. You couldn't purchase it on disc, or you couldn't go to GameStop and buy it.
Right.
So yeah, if you look up like all the Arkham games, you'll find out that there's more than just what you've seen. There's like I think two more. They have Arkham Origins, and then they have the 3D side scroller.
Okay.
So you have Arkham Asylum, then you have Arkham Knights, and then you have like the three Arkham games, and then they have Arkham Origins, and then they have that 3D side scroller, some shit.
Yeah, and at that point, I wasn't even using a console, so I wouldn't have never seen it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I've been able to afford are the consoles. So
Right. Yeah, I'm reading through the chat here, and yeah, we're not saying that Spacey was bad as Luthor. I don't think he was bad. If anything, I would say, and I like Gene Hackman as an actor, but I didn't necessarily think he was the best possible Lex Luthor. I think Spacey was a better Lex. But for some reason, that they said he should have put on his armor and fought. Like, for some reason, every time they bring up Lex Luthor in the movies, they completely forget that he ever wore armor or ever used armor.
Yeah, that
become an
green
equal.
purple armor.
Right. Yeah, they completely ignore that. And I mean, the whole point of that armor was to get him at least close to Superman to be able to go toe to toe with him.
Right.
And you can only play the intellect versus might game for so long. Eventually, intellect will lose out to might because might can find you and kill you.
Right.
But yeah, and that's the other thing, Brainiac too. Like, they don't. Hopefully, this as they continue on, they'll find a way to include Brainiac into some of this, because again, he is one of those villains that necessitate a full team of heroes.
Right. Did you hear what they were doing with what they're saying they might do with Lex Luthor for the new Superman movie?
Mm-mm.
They're gonna come
I
with
haven't heard it.
they're gonna come with Apex Lex.
Really?
Apex Lex is supposed to be this multi-dimensional, superpowered, somewhat version of Lex Luthor. That's supposed to be, I guess, formidable against Superman. And I'm like, why would you even do a multiverse version of Lex Luthor when you can actually put him in the suit? And then in the suit,
Right.
he was, he had some kind of strength behind him to at least give Superman some kind of fight. But they're going with the multiversal, and look it up. They call it Apex Lex. You can look up Apex Lex James Gunn, and you can see it all. You'll see the articles that are popping up about this superpowered version of Lex Luthor from the multiverse that's supposed to be giving Superman, a good fight or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, you got to reach that far.
Well, and it just kind of falls back into what I said. They avoid the bodysuit Lex or the mechanical Lex at all costs for some odd reason. They think that version of Lex Luthor with the powered suit either isn't good enough or is too off the beaten path, and yet they'll think that a multiverse version of Lex is better. And you're in a situation now where you're having to try to re-explain things. And I mean, I get it. You're trying to use the Flash and that version of Flashpoint to explain why you have a different Superman and all this other shit. But at the end of the day, you're jumping back into a multiverse you shouldn't be jumping into.
Yeah,
at least not yet. Like that's something for down the road. You know, establish your main continuity before you start dipping off world and through dimensions and whatever else.
Yeah, I agree. I don't get how he and the thing is we're getting this right off the cuff with the first Superman movie. So it's not like you built up to it and all of a sudden, you know, movie 3 or whatever, you got to come with this apex Lex Luthor. Hell, if that's the case, what the fuck happened to original Lex Luthor?
Right, he just didn't exist.
Right, or you know, or why isn't he a threat?
Well, everybody wants to forget about fucking Jesse Eisenberg, so I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, because he has to be about the weakest Lex Luthor I've ever seen, man.
Gen Z fucking Lex Luthor. Yeah.
Superman 64 put me off Superman games. Yeah, that was a fucking horrible game, man. I own that one. And then the other Superman game I never really did like. You remember the arcade version of Superman where it was a regular Superman and a Superman in a red suit? And it was a 2-player game, and all he did was fly up and down buildings, punching bad guys in midair.
Boy, you're going back a ways. Maybe.
Yeah, it came out like back in like the 80s, man. 80s, 90s. They used to have that Superman the arcade game.
Yeah, and I vaguely remember something like that. Like it was a weird mix of like Street Fighter and Rampage.
Right. It was just you know, it was all you did was punch, kick. I think if you pressed a couple of the buttons, you might do a heat vision, maybe. I can't really recall, but it was just really a big punching and kicking game. And all you did was punch like robots and different shit. And it was a 2-player game, so you can actually play as regular Superman, and the second player had to play as the Superman with a red suit on. Yeah, it was an arcade game, and that shit was horrible, man.
Yeah, I don't remember much of that. Yeah, I mean, obviously the like, did they ever do a red suit in any variation of Superman?
Nah.
I mean, I know they've had a number of different outfits for him.
Yeah, in the comic books, but nah. And as far as like movies, nah, they never. You know, Superman was always straight up.
I know the movies didn't do that. Right. They always kept to. Well, there was only one Superman. You know, as far as like, there's not any alternate universe Superman floating around, not in the movies. But yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I know they, for like special events, they always put their main characters in like alternate suits, like the whole Blackest Night series when they all got rings, and Superman had that. He had that all blue suit, which was pretty badass.
Right.
And then Batman had the all yellow suit, which was really weird.
Well, you know, we'll see. The thing is, you know, the yellow power ring feeds off of fear.
Right. I mean, it made sense.
Yeah.
But it was just to make his outfit yellow. It was just odd looking.
You know,
like the whole concept of, you know, being a bat at night. It's stealthy and whatnot. Right. And now you put him in a bright yellow suit. You're not really being stealthy in a bright yellow suit.
Yeah, it was kind of to show that Sinestro yellow color, you know.
Yeah. You know, I got that because they did that with a bunch of them. Like Lex Luthor had the orange.
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
Makes sense for him. But it turned his whole mech suit orange and shit. Like, it was crazy.
Do you know in the Arkham games, they had different variations of the Batman suit. You know, that yellow Lantern ring suit was one of the variants.
Yeah.
So you can look like that yellow ring Batman costume. They'd had like you can put him in the Batman Beyond costume.
Right.
Dark Knight Returns costume. They had him in the Batman 66 costume. That they had like all these different variations.
They did that also in DC Online. Like you could get alternate suits,
right?
And dress like you could dress if because you could only use the primary characters if you're doing like the PvP stuff,
right?
Or if you're doing like special events. Where you had your own created character that you used for the primary portion of the game,
right?
And then you had the ability to unlock special characters, like Superman and Batman and Robin and all that. But you could only use them in certain scenarios. So like, yeah, you'd see people running around and they'd be doing like a 4-person event, and it would be like Batman in the 66 costume,
right?
And then on the same team, Joker in the Cesar Romero costume. It was just like, what the fuck? It was so weird, but it was kind of funny because you could get all these different variations of suits. There was like for the Hal Jordan Green Lantern,
right.
Even though Hal Jordan never wore that outfit, you could get the origin Green Lantern, what's his name? Alan Scott.
Oh, the Alan Scott. Right.
So you could get the Alan Scott suit, but it was on Hal Jordan. It wasn't Alan Scott.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if they tried to like put every character in, it would just be a ridiculous number of characters to have to unlock.
Well, from what I recall, it had to be it was it the second Injustice? I can't remember. They did the Flash had like a variation suits, and if I'm not mistaken, one of them was Jay Jarrett, the Golden Age Flash.
Yeah, with the hat.
With the helmet, right? With the helmet with the wings on it. So my thing is, you could have just had him as like you click on him and then that look could have came up where you could have been Alan Scott. You just swapped out Hal Jordan for just for a varying Green Lantern, or if not him, then John Stewart.
Well, I mean, I will say this: if you followed the Lantern storyline where your created character is a Lantern,
right?
There is a point in that storyline where you end up going to an alternate universe, and Alan Scott is the primary Green Lantern there, and he actually like tells you what's going on and what to do within that run, basically.
Right, in that mission. So basically, they end up going to Earth 2, and
there's a couple of times where you skip off into different Earths. Honestly enough, and it frustrates me that it had its ups and downs, because the base DC Online game was really good, but it was marred by a lot of loot box bullshit early on.
Man. Yeah.
And then now it's like supposedly completely free, but it's such a grind that it's almost not worth it.
So when's the last time you played?
Oh God, that was a while ago. It's probably been 4 years or more.
Yeah,
I mean that game's been around a long time.
Yeah. I think the last time I played was maybe about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I created a character because you had like 3 choices. You had the gadgets and tech, which was like a Batman background.
Right.
You had sorcery and mysticism, which was like a Wonder Woman background. Right. And then you had the Superman, which was basically just, a powers-based
right.
Characters. So, like, I started out with a tech one. So I had a character that was on the Batman side of things, but it was very much a Green Arrow type of character. I used that as the weaponry.
Right.
And then I realized very quickly that that's a shitty fucking character to have because it didn't have the strength of like the other two.
Right.
And then I created a second character that was quantum based. And the reason I went quantum is because at the time that was the OP power to have.
Right. Right.
And if you set your character up a certain way, the quantum, like, you had your health bar and then you had kind of a secondary bar that, depending on which thing you formed your character under,
Right.
meant different things. It was either mana for like the sorcery
Magic.
stuff,
Right.
or it was just a power bar, so to speak. And the quantum one, you could get it to loop. So you'd go through like these 5 different moves.
Right.
And it's time based. So you first hit them with a freeze and they get stuck in time. And then you beat the shit out of them with these 3 other moves.
Right.
And the 4th move and the 5th move were power regens, which also did damage. So you basically just ran through these 5 moves
Right.
in a loop, and you never ran out of power. And you could just blow through shit left and right, and you were always at maximum the whole time. It was the most way OP character setup I've ever seen. And then, of course, they nerfed it, and then everything kind of went to hell from there. But that's also when they started to change from the original company that was running it, and then the ones that bought the rights to it.
Yeah, I saw that, and then he started running all these fucking woke ass storylines to him, the same way they did with like Star Trek Online.
Yeah, I didn't even stick around for that.
Dude, shit.
The last thing I played through, like completely all the way to the end of that particular storyline,
right,
was most of the Green Lantern stuff, like to the point where you got to like Star Sapphires and you had to fight like a fucking wave of Star Sapphires. That was crazy. But I think that was the last one I completed. I started to do one of the DLC add-ons, and I had picked up the one that had the 1940s versions of some of the characters. So like
the Golden Age, right?
Well, not even the Golden Age, but there was a specific run where they took a lot of the female characters and made them.
Oh, you talking about the Bombshells?
The Bombshells, yeah, that's it. And they did an add-on for the Bombshells, and I started that and just stopped playing at that point because they had already like completely screwed up the quantum power set that I couldn't last as long as I would normally.
Right.
And it made it just a royal pain in the ass. But yeah, there was another Green Lantern one where you had to fight. Oh God, I hate forgetting names.
What do you look like?
The redheaded Green Lantern, the one everybody thinks is an asshole.
Oh, Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner, yeah. You end up having to fight him because he was one of the characters that had 2 rings.
Right. A
green ring and a red ring, and he went in a rampage under the red ring. Right. So you had to like get him to calm down. And I went in with like a background character that I had created and built as a tank because there was nobody else playing tanks at that moment. So I'm like, all right, I'll go grab my tank and come back. And it was a Red Lantern tank. And he burned through me like I was fucking paper. Like I was nothing to him. And we ended up having to get some guy who was like 8 levels above where we were at just to come in and help us. Like, it was just frustrating. And you would think a Red Lantern would be a good toe-to-toe with another Red Lantern, but that obviously wasn't the case.
Right. So when are you going to head back to play that?
I looked into it a little bit.
Right.
I'd have to start all over with a new character because my account's probably long gone by now. But I don't know. I looked into it, checked out some of the newer power sets that they had, and was just kind of like, eh. Like it didn't really pique my interest enough to go back into it.
Damn.
Because they started bringing in some really weird, like they brought in some tech side that was all gun background.
Right.
So like a lot of the special moves that you're supposed to use that do the most damage.
Right.
Were like you'd set up a turret, basically like almost like a 50 cal placement, and you just set it down and start firing. But you could only turn so far left and right, like a normal 50 cal, and and you'd get people would get around you and beat you up from behind. It was like it was such a pain in the ass.
Would you ever go back to Star Trek?
I never really got into the Star Trek game.
Okay.
I know Rob did a lot. Rob liked that up to a point, and he was kind of the same. It was like it got so much a pain in the butt because of the changes they had made that he was just like, you know what? I've spent so much money on this thing. I'm done. Because he had all the add-on and like the loot box stuff that they were doing, and like with special ships and shit like that.
I know when I played Star Trek, I became they call it a rear admiral.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, probably but I don't know what it's like now, because that was like over 5 years ago. But they were saying that I was only 1 in 3% of all the people playing the whole game, whether it was on console or on PC.
Right.
Like 3%, went that far with one character to become a rear admiral. And I played my character all the way to that point. But man, that shit started getting frustrating, man.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this.
It does, yeah.
And that same thing that happened with the DC Online. It got to a point where it started getting frustrating, and I don't know, I was starting missions. I didn't know like what the fuck to do or where to go, and I was like, yo, fuck this. So I was
they were really DC Online was really bad at like later mission instructions. Like you had to figure out everything on your own, or there'd be like one piece of information that you missed somewhere, and it like completely
throws the whole mission off.
Right. And they were so like set in their scripting that like when you got into like the 8-player missions, like fuck all, you'd lose one person and the whole thing would be shot. You have to start over because they didn't make it into some warp portal or some shit to get everybody into one spot. It started getting really frustrating, and they made it. At one point, they had changed it to where higher level people got nothing out of going into lower level missions to like say help out. So like a lot of the guilds were frustrated because that was their bread and butter. Like they build a guild, they'd recruit people in and say, look, we're going to help you get to this point. And they'd go down, and like all the bigger missions that the lower levels had to do, they'd go in with like guys at level 40, level 50 and just crush it and, get it out of the way basically so that they could level up and get the gear they needed.
Right.
And once they cut all those higher level people off from any return, they stopped doing it. Like they were just like, nah, I can't waste my time running through this mission with you, because at the end of the day, I'm not getting anything for it.
Right.
Like I'm getting no rewards. So yeah, that really hurt a lot of the guild, enjoyment part of the game.
Right.
Because at that point it was like, why even be part of a guild if you can't continue to grow your guild and get them to be successful, prosperous, whatever you want to call it. And then the drops were dog shit too. Like you'd get,
oh yeah, I remember that. That was hard.
You'd get one piece of something, and it would be no better than the shit you already had on your character.
Yeah, like a ring or glove or some kind of
Right, like
utility belt.
right, exactly. And you'd get it and it'd be like maybe a +1 on one stat, and you're like, what the fuck did I just do this for? Like it gave you no benefit whatsoever because they were trying to drive everybody to the fucking loot box shit. Because the loot box stuff is where you got a lot of your coin, a lot of the secondary, what do they call that? Because you had your regular earned coin that you could buy stuff, and then they had that second monetary coin that was specific to loot boxes, and that's how you exactly. And you needed those special coins to get the certain armor pieces and whatever else. And yeah, it just became a nightmare because you're taking, it's a free game. Yeah, but not really. Like if you want to be level 50 and higher, like you get to level 50 and that was a cutoff. And then everything beyond level 50, you had to pay effectively the subscription fee to get beyond that.
Right.
So now it's not even a free to play game. It's a monthly service game. But they never changed any of the rewards. So it was just that pissed me off the most.
And wasn't the subscription fee of like $10?
Yeah, it was like $10 or $12 a month. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, damn, that's as much as the Xbox Gold.
Well, yeah, but a lot of their content was kind of aimed at PC. When you look at it, how they did the loot boxes and the monthly subscription, because a lot of the older online only games were subscription based.
Right.
And most of those were PC. Oh. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It had its run. I had fun with it for a while.
Right.
Unless something else comes around, I probably won't go back to that genre.
Playing those online games, I don't know, they just weren't that fun, man.
Some of them are all right. Like I said, I mean, the early game was cool. You're just running around seeing people like running off to do different things, and they're all online. That part was cool. And I did create a joke character just to like mess with people's heads.
Right.
I created a villain that was also quantum based. But I gave him like a big afro and like this goofy suit, and his name was probably inappropriate.
Oh.
Well, not okay. It's only inappropriate if you knew who the person was in real life. I picked a porn star name, Harry Reams. And like every now and then somebody would say in chat, like, her, I get the name, like, but most people didn't recognize the name. So it just went over their heads. But I was effectively a villain porn star with quantum powers.
Das Wolfen said I played Champions Online more than I played DC Online. Champions Online, that was Marvel's, right?
I think it was nondescript. It was just heroes in general. It wasn't specific to any, because there was a different Marvel one. A friend of mine had played the Marvel one, but it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was a lot like the mobile games are now, where it was like you had a certain set of moves that you had to, that basically were on like cards, kind of like how the Midnight Suns game is. So you have these like cards that you have to play. So you're not actually doing the combat, you're picking the cards that will do the combat.
Wow.
Which is very mobile like.
Yeah, that sounds mobile. Matter of fact, I used to play a Star Trek mobile game that was like that. That in order for you to make a move, you had to pull a card.
Yeah.
And then, depending on what card you pulled will determine what action you take.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's a little different in where you already have your like deck of cards for each character. And then you get to choose, I think, 5 out of your own deck. So the bigger chess game is the choosing the right cards for the scenario presented. And if you choose the wrong cards, you're, either shit out of luck or, you end up having a tough time.
And Das Wolfen says Champions Online was a full MMO RPG.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about Champions Online. I was talking about the Marvel one. Because there was, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But yeah, it was that one was more mobile like. The Champions Online was a lot more like DCO.
Right.
It was nondescript. Like you didn't have specific headliners from either Marvel or DC. You just had heroes that, basically you could create or choose different power sets or whatever.
Kind of like a build your own superhero kind of,
Yeah, I mean technically DC Online was the same way. It's just that it included DC characters as interaction points and as PvP stuff, whereas there was no specific affiliation with Champions Online.
Yeah, there was just some old made up for the video game type superheroes. Yeah.
Right, and when you go through your character creation, you can make a Superman-like character, but for licensing reasons, it wasn't Superman.
Right. Well, shit, that's it's for me. It's been a minute. I don't see myself ever going back to anything like that. If I'm gonna play any kind of superhero game, it'll definitely be, Arkham Asylum or Injustice.
Right, more of the single player stuff.
Right, but as far as like getting that deep into like a DC Online or anything like that, I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to see too many games come out like those, especially with the kickback on loot boxes and how, like companies like EA have been basically dragged over the coals because of, their practices when it comes to loot boxes.
Right.
A lot of companies are really avoiding those situations. I guess it's just too tempting to put loot boxes into stuff.
Well,
yeah. I mean, and like I said, I was actually kind of hyped for Midnight Suns until I saw its gameplay and was like, what? No. Like, this is all, I could play this on my Samsung phone. Like, why? Why would I bother spending, a full AAA game's money on effectively a mobile game? And I immediately lost interest. Because, the graphics looked really good on it. And the characters involved were kind of cool. Because it wasn't just the Midnight Suns characters. There was other Marvel characters involved as well. But yeah, I just couldn't get past the combat setup. I was just like, ugh.
Well, I don't know. The whole thing to it is, there was a few things that I found wrong with that. The first thing is they had a chick lead in the fucking thing. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
And then,
then they changed the name.
Yeah, instead of it being SON, they put SUN. It's like, come on, like now.
Yeah, now you're just pandering at that point,
right? I couldn't get behind that shit, man.
Yeah, and like I said, I could even look past some of it, but because I really kind of like waited for it to come out. I've been burned by other games before, so I'm really hesitant to buy pre-release anymore.
Right.
And going and looking at the gameplay after it released, I was just like, oh, nope. Won't touch it.
Huh. Hey, ZBR, you take it easy, man. He says, I'm going to head off. Y'all have a good night. Hey, you have a great night, man. And shit, we'll see you next time, man.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man. You have a good night, brother.
Take it easy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's because of the current generation of players, like that's what they're looking for in games. But yeah, I can't get into that at all. Like it's too lowest common denominator. Like, oop, he played that card. I'll play this card. Okay, let's watch it play out. Like, no, I want to be involved in this.
Man, I tell you, that's well,
yeah.
I guess hopefully, they're working on a new Superman game. Hopefully, something good comes out of it, man.
I don't know. I think the best Superman modern situation was a mod for Grand Theft Auto.
I saw that, man. I saw that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, actually, it looked pretty good.
There's a video out on YouTube. Basically, the title is just, "This is why you can't have a modern Superman game," and it was just, he took the mod and basically was like obliterating everything in sight. Like, it didn't matter who it was or what they were, standard citizens. He's blowing them up and pushing them and throwing them out into space. Like, I was just like, oh my god. That throwing cars at people.
Yeah, I saw that one, man. That was it was pretty interesting. They actually, for PlayStation, they came out with a video game. It was I'm not sure if it had 2 games. I'm not sure if it went to 3. I can't remember the title of it, but basically you're a guy with powers.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuck was that? And then, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it came out for the PS3. And it was a dude with powers, and it reminds me of a Superman kind of game. And
okay.
and people thought that that's what Superman should have been before
right.
before Injustice and stuff came out.
Right. Well, and it's funny that, I mean, the Injustice game, I get why they did it, because it easily fit into the game model that Mortal Kombat was using. Like, they could get away with just kind of like changing the assets, but the base game is still exactly the same. But it's such a distinct storyline, like, it doesn't lend itself to anything else really. Because you have to have a reason to pit one side against the other, and that's effectively what Injustice was. Superman saying, "Screw it, the humans can't rule themselves. I'll do it for them."
Right.
And that whole faction, and then Batman's side of things.
You know what? Glenzer just popped up. He said Prototype 1 and 2. I think that's the name of it, Prototype.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you guys never played Prototype 1 and 2, that was for the PS3. And yeah, it's been so long. I own both of them too. I haven't pulled out my PS3 in years.
We had a PS3.
But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called Prototype. So if you guys never heard of it, it's just, you can use your powers for good or bad, but it's a guy that basically is built up like a superhero,
right?
And you learn your powers and this and that, and it's wild. It's pretty interesting. You got people, if I'm not mistaken, people were chasing you, trying to steal you away. I think like the government or some shit.
Mm-hmm. That's
take
usually the case.
Huh?
I said that's usually the case.
Right.
What's your powers?
Man.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, that's almost like what was that movie that came out? Brightburn
Chronicle.
or Chronicle? Yeah, that one too.
Yeah, Chronicle's another one. Yeah, and Brightburn. Yeah, I still haven't watched Brightburn.
Really? Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's made by James Gunn and his brothers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
really
it's like you have to go into it understanding like, okay, this is another deconstruction of the superhero type of movie where it's okay, this kid is born with obvious powers, and what's his path, and in that case it's obviously not good. But it plays out more like a horror movie than anything else.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't necessarily think it was a bad movie. It's just you can't look at it like a specific like hero movie because he's not a hero. Like he's, take Jason Voorhees or take some horror movie character that has obvious powers, so to speak, and just amp them up to 11, and that's basically it.
Man, I know. I'm wondering. We got this new shit that's people are getting ready to watch. I know, like, basically next month, if I'm not mistaken, The Flash comes.
Yeah.
Are you gonna check it?
I'll probably watch it in my normal way.
Oh.
Put my eye patch on and find it that way. I wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, out of morbid curiosity more than anything else, and to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. But beyond that, I'm just so over Ezra Miller and the whole fucking clown show that is his life. That seeing him on screen, he's not a good Flash. He's not really a good actor in general. So whatever. I mean, I just, if anything, I would want to see the twist where his younger self ends up being the bad guy, so to speak.
Right. When they first started talking about there were going to be like multiple Flashes, there was a picture where there was 3 of them.
Yeah.
Now they're just showing 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have lost the third one in edits. Who knows?
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck happened to the third one?
No idea. Yeah, nothing ever really was said about that. I mean, the promotional material when it did come out was quite a while ago.
Yeah, they had pictures of 3 Ezra Millers.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I mean, they still could pull that out of their ass.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to have the 2 because they've already kind of confirmed the fact that the younger one is going to be the bad guy.
Right.
Like the end bad guy. And that, the whole fight with what's his face?
Zod or Michael Keaton?
Zod. Yeah, Zod. The whole fight with Zod is just going to be a distraction at the end of it. It'd be filler, basically.
To be real, man, I'm still looking forward to just seeing Michael Keaton, like, Batman, because we're gonna see him like like I said before, we're gonna see him do shit that we've never seen him do, especially like out of everything. Of course, he only had 2 movies, and
Right.
of course he has his own comic book run. They got the 89 Batman, or Batman 89 is what they called it, and they got a series running with that. But and I'm not sure how. I think Superman might have popped up in there or whatever. But as far as like live action, we've never seen Michael Keaton's Batman go against anybody with no real fucking powers.
Right.
So
exactly.
so for him, of course they had that one scene where he's in the bat plane, and whatever the fuck jumps right on the front of it, like busting out the glass, and he fucking ejects, out of it. And then you see the bat plane crashing and shit. And it's like, damn. It's like, we've never seen Batman on no fucking high-powered mission to where he's dealing with anything on that level. So to see, basically you're pulling 89 Batman, putting him into a scenario where he's fighting superpower beings and he's dealing with people that got super speed and all kind. Like, so basically we're seeing Michael Keaton's Batman on a level that we've never even seen him. He's not like he's fighting the Joker or the Penguin,
right? And of course, it's back then. It was technical limitations, like you weren't going to put him up against a character back then, like Brainiac or anything like that. It would just be a way over the top, far more than what's his face, the director,
Tim Burton.
Yeah. Far beyond his capabilities and
his wheelhouse of the shit that he does.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean that'll be interesting. I mean, but you're also talking. This is a 70-some-year-old Batman,
right? Probably in his last hurrah, but he's fucking. I mean, to put him out there, a 70-year-old Batman, just fucking. In the fight of his life, you know what I'm saying? Like
basically,
hell, you thought fighting the Joker in 89 and fighting the Penguin in 91, 92, motherfuckers thought, okay, that's that was something.
Right. Yeah, no.
Shit. They got him in some shit that it's funny because it's funny, it's kind of like if they took, just to say, man, it's like if they took 66 Batman and put him put him into some shit that you never would have seen his character in. It's like, damn, it's
I don't think the 66 Batman
would have made it, huh?
Well, yeah, no. I mean that the shark repellent wouldn't have worked on anything.
Oh shit. Yeah, but it's crazy to put a hero that we've seen over easily over 30 years ago and put him in a scenario that you would have never imagined him being in. Like you got him fighting a fucking Kryptonians and of course Flash, and we don't even know what the fuck else is in this movie.
Well, you still got Miss Superman.
Yeah, I mean, but he's not gonna fight her.
No. But you also notice, and I don't know if it's them purposely holding stuff back, or if it's just the scenario. Like, you don't see a lot of him going toe to toe with the Kryptonians. Like, they've been pretty reserved. He gets the Flash and the other Barry Allen there, and you see one scene where he's getting attacked, in his bat plane or whatever.
Right.
And on top of that, they're in the fucking desert. Like, he can't even use his batarang or anything to hook on to like lift himself up. Like, he's just like, talk about being out of your element. Holy shit.
Huh. Thank you, Facius. Good night, Penny.
Yeah, it's if you're gonna put him in a bad situation, that's about as bad as you can get.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, just again, it's just crazy because you're seeing him in the bat plane, and he's pulling out all his old bag of tricks in his new movie,
right?
And I mean, it's to the point where they're trying to they're trying to kill his ass in midair, and he's fucking, he's jumping off the bat plane, and he almost gets hit with that motherfucker. Like the bat plane goes up and it goes right back down, and he's gliding all in the air. So it's like he's using his powers, or his suit's
His
abilities
skills.
and that shit to the utmost, man.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. I want to know, because I know the CW show did it very briefly. If any of the other 89 characters are going to pop up just as cameos or whatever. Like, because the CW pulled, the guy who played the character.
Yeah, that was a Crisis on Infinite Earth.
Right.
Yeah, that was the reporter.
Right. The reporter who was played by Robert Wool. And, just to see them maybe like as a nod to the 89 film, have somebody other than just Batman in it.
Right. Yeah, that would be cool. I agree.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you're probably not going to get like Michelle Pfeiffer because she's off doing Ant-Man things.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have a variation of an aged Catwoman unless they, decide to pull somebody else into that role. But then it wouldn't be a true like cameo. It would just be the character's cameo. I don't know what Kim Basinger's doing.
Oh, I haven't even seen what the hell. What does she look like nowadays?
Well, let's see here. Kim.
Yeah, this.
Well, she's looked better. I'm trying to find. I don't even know if this is like truly her, but I guess it looks like her.
Oh,
yeah. Did you just see the picture?
Oh shit! With her in the gray jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, 69 years old. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to find at least a somewhat flattering image, I guess. Here. Let's see here. And I hope nothing else pops up.
Oh.
Let me try to share it.
Pops up or pops out?
Well, no, it's on I think either New York Post or TMZ.
All right, let's see what we got. Who?
I don't know who she's holding hands with. I think it's her current husband. But yeah, there's definitely some surgery going on there. That's an old image. Yeah, oops.
Oh shit.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, I was about to say she's about to suck on something. I don't know. That sounds
yeah. That's a scary stripper, if you ask me. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like something's about to happen.
But yeah, this is probably the most telling image, I guess. Like you can see her cheeks, like have been.
Hey, can you blow that shit up, son?
Yeah. Oop. Oh, really? I can't. You blow it up, and now it won't show me the top of the image. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I think that's yeah. Damn, you can see her face. Yeah, Hey, Chad, what do you think of Kim Basinger?
Ooh, look at the hand. Eesh.
Wow.
That's like Crypt Keeper hands. God damn.
Yeah, they started like you can see the veins and and all that shit.
And the knuckles all swollen. Yeah, I don't know about that. That's scary. Wow.
Damn.
So yeah, she's probably not in the running for a cameo, I don't think.
Wow. That's I don't know. Zax. I know you out there, man. What do you think about Kim Basinger, man? Das Wolfen, Glenzer. He says hard to tell because of cosmetic surgery celebs get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's definitely obvious in her face. Like from the cheeks up, it's not so horrible, but like from the bottom of the cheeks down is
Yeah, to the
bad.
chin, yeah.
And the hands are the most telling, but the hands are typically the most telling because you really can't do much to a set of hands with plastic surgery to make them look better. Like, if you have any kind of arthritis in your knuckles,
Right.
it's going to stand out no matter what. They can't really do much about that.
Fuck. Wow, that's
Not
right. I mean, at least we know what Michelle Pfeiffer looking like nowadays, but this is crazy.
yeah. Well, and even then, like Michelle Pfeiffer, like if you see her outside of the movies, she's not exactly, she's not far off from Kim. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
Age hits hard.
Damn. Zach says, age is a motherfucker.
Yes, it is. But that's also why you don't see them in movies when they get up in age like that. Whereas, a 70-year-old man, depending on how well he's kept himself, can still do. I mean, Sean Connery worked way late, and honestly, he could have kept going. He quit on his own accord. God, it looks so horrible. Okay.
Yeah,
I hate
how that happened, man. With Sean Connery.
Yeah, I mean, not even just the post-death stuff, because that was just shitty to do to a person who's no longer with us. But even then, like he had just been fed up with Hollywood in general, And I'm trying to think of what his last movie was.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Was that the final one?
That was the thing is, it did well in the theaters. It made money. It made more money overseas. That's where the bulk of the money came from. But what
Right.
fucked him up was the critics here in America. They trashed the movie, and that would basically, he was like, fuck, it, because he was planning to make a part 2, and he was so burnt from how everybody talked shit about the movie that he just said fuck it and retired. And what he did after that, he did maybe about two or three movies where he did like some kind of voice acting, for a cartoon or some shit, and that was it.
Yeah, I seen that, Sir Billy.
That was.
Yeah, let's see here. Let's look at, trying to look at like his whole because where is it here? League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was 2003.
Right.
Basically he did A History of Us, which was a PBS show. It was like a mini series, and he was only in one episode. And then after that, it's Voice.
Right.
And he did the Bond voice for From Russia with Love video game.
Oh yeah, I own that motherfucker. That shit was that's some good shit right there, man. You ever played it?
Right. I have not.
Man, James Bond, From Russia with Love, the video game it came out for the original Xbox, not for the 360, the first one.
Let me see this, because I think this one was more recent than that. Because this was, what year was it? 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I wasn't into consoles, so I never bothered playing it.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Like I said, I have it. It's a part of my Bond collection, man. I just threw it in there and like fuck it. This,
Right.
you know, it's Sean Connery, James Bond in video game mode. Why not?
Right. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to try to see if I could find it for like one of the emulators.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know fucking Rob was good at finding emulators for shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know which emulators to use for PlayStation versus Xbox. It's always finding the game itself that ends up being the harder part.
Right. Yeah, I like I said, I have it, man. That's a fucking good game, man. Like that's hell yeah. James Bond, Sean Connery, 2005 Xbox video game. That shit was good, man. And it was like it's a blast from the past, but you have to play it in order to, in order for the whole story to unfold. It's
Right.
crazy. You can even like I bet you somebody on YouTube has sat there and played the game and recorded it from beginning to end.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's like watching a whole playthrough. I mean, they do that for damn near everything now.
Right.
So you could definitely find Sean Connery from Russia with Love, the Xbox video game playthrough, and just watch somebody play it, and you can actually see it for yourself. See how it plays, check out the mechanics, see how good the voice acting was, all that shit.
Mm. Yeah, there was some screenshots on the IMDb that looked actually pretty good. Surprisingly good for the time frame, I should say.
Right. Shit, that's an 18-year-old game.
Yeah. Based on a movie that was far older.
Fuck. Oh shit. Just to think, man, he was doing that back in the 60s, 70s?
Yeah, definitively the 60s.
Right.
Like what was the first? Dr. No was the first one?
Yeah,
it was like 63.
And then 2005 he comes back like let me do the voiceover for one more time. Let me just be. So I don't know. I've always liked him as the best.
That was 62. Damn.
62. Shit.
It was off by a year. And the game it's based on is the Spy Who Loved Me. Or no, not Spy Who Loved Me. Which one was it?
That was with
Russia with Love. Yeah, that's the name. So that was the second movie. So that's 1963.
Right. Man, I'm telling you, man, that's some good shit right there, man. I definitely got that one, man. It's some good shit. It's funny. They got a few video game, adaptation, stuff like that. James Bond with Russia from Love video game. Of course they have like Indiana Jones, voiced by Harrison Ford.
Right.
I know they have one for the original Xbox. I have that one too.
Yeah, the only Raiders of the Lost Ark that I ever played as far as games was the Lego ones.
Did you like it?
It was all right. I mean, it was getting around the whip mechanic was kind of a pain. Because like when you're dealing with 3D games that are not from behind like a normal like third person,
right?
But they're your camera view is like an offset, like you're watching the events unfold,
right?
and trying to line stuff up with the whip was always a pain in the ass. Because you'd be like behind it or in front of it, you wouldn't be right where it needed to be.
Right. Yeah, when it came to those Lego games, man, I let my kids play those, man. That was like Lego Batman,
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars, the whole fucking.
Yeah, I had the Star Wars, the first 3 films in one. I think I still have that floating around somewhere.
Right.
And then I had, what was the next one after? It was the Indiana Jones after that.
Right. And then they had the Batman Lego.
Yeah, I didn't play the Batman one. I played the Avengers one, and that one was a
Right.
real pain in the ass. Because you, just like with all the other Lego games, you're on screen and you have 2 characters to control, and you had to pick which one could complete each tasks. And yeah,
right.
And if you brought the wrong one with you, you were basically screwed.
Fuck yeah, that's. Yeah, I don't know. Shit, are you playing anything now?
Not really. I mean, I went out and got the PlayStation 5 just for Gran Turismo, and that's pretty much all I play on that. And on the PC side of things, it's more racing, Forza, that kind of thing. I haven't really, like, the last actual non-racing game that I played was when Sony released the first, well, I shouldn't say the first, but the more recent Spider-Man, not the Miles Morales one, but the one that led into that.
Right.
That one I played.
Yeah, that one looked pretty good.
It is.
He was like basically going through windows and shit.
Yeah, like you could, depending on how you were moving around, you could like aim at a window if it was or like a grate or something like that, like an exhaust grate on the side of a building, and he would like pull himself into it and then shoot through it into like the ducting and stuff like that.
Right.
Because there's a bunch of like to progress the game, you have to defeat henchmen basically at these like warehouses and stuff like that. And that's how you get into the warehouses. You go in through the ducting or go in through some window or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was really good. It was a solid, 60 hours of gameplay, which I liked because it was like for what they were charging for it, it better have a significant amount of the game.
Right.
And I got, I think I got all the alternate suits unlocked. There were a couple that I had to kind of grind for, but they have a ton of different like alternate suits, but they don't, like, when you unlock them, it unlocks the suit and then whatever kind of specialty power each suit it has. So there's like a bunch of like really off the wall, like one shot fucking suits, like the white, and I forget which one this is from, but it's the white suit with the black spider.
Right.
Which like only showed up a handful of times ever in the comics. And there's a specific power that goes along with that particular or like specialty move, that kind of thing. But yeah, there was a ton of different. There was like the 2099 suit, the standard suit, the Punk Spider-Man suit, and it's basically like a red suit with a jean jacket that's had its arms torn off, so it's like a jean vest, if you will.
Right.
But it has a spider logo on the back. There's the Night Ops suit, which is like the stealth suit. There's another black suit that has like this neon green piping. Trying to think of what else. There's the British Spider-Man suit, so it has like the British flag kind of
Right.
going on.
Right.
I mean, there's just a ton of different suits. And, you know, of course, like as you're progressing, you have to unlock certain suits because whatever power is associated with that makes your progress easier. Like it gives you the ability to like pin the henchman to the ground with an attack, or to swing and kick and then shoot webs at them so that they stick to the wall, or the ability to, like, the stealth suit gives you the ability to pull guys off the ground and like web them up and keep them hanging.
Right. Right.
And you have to do this while not being seen, that kind of shit. Yeah, no, it's a solid game. I was more disappointed because I was going to actually get the continuation, which is the Miles Morales one, just to keep playing.
Right.
Not that I care for the character, but just to kind of keep the whole thing going. And when I found out they were charging full price, $60 for effectively a DLC.
Yeah, that's,
and I was like,
crazy.
And it only had maybe 10 hours of gameplay. I was like, oh, hell no.
Is it still $60 now?
Mm-hmm.
Shit.
Every now and then it'll go on sale, but it never goes on sale for any significant amount. Not that I've seen. Like, I could see that as a $5 or $10, purchase just to continue the story and be like, okay, that's not too bad. $10 for 10 hours of gameplay. Okay, I can get away with that. But not 60. Fuck that.
Right. Yeah, I would.
That's ridiculous. And there's even parts of the first part of the game where you actually have to be Miles, but it's like he doesn't quite have his powers yet, so he's not actually Miles Morales, like the Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'll get it out.
Right.
He's just a kid that you help out as Peter Parker, which completely fucks the lore up because that's not how that came about.
Right.
But whatever. They're gonna play it out fast and loose like they always do. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of missions that you're not even Peter. Like, you're either Miles or you're Mary Jane. And you have to like sneak around and look at shit. Yeah, because I mean, that's all of those characters can really do is just sneak around. Like, they can't attack anybody. They can't do anything.
Right.
It's basically missions set so that you can learn the stealth mechanic of creeping around and not being seen and all that. It's just a distraction at that point. But the primary Spider-Man stuff was really cool. Like, and being able to like swing throughout that whole New York City area, like top to bottom, all of Manhattan and all that. That was pretty cool. And actually pretty easy to pick up, like to get used to.
Man. Well, tell you what, brother, we can go ahead and wrap this up, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Works for me.
So before we go, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that has come and hung out with us, listened to us talk superheroes and video games and look at older chicks and all kinds of shit.
Right.
But if anything, I had a great time doing it. He said, good night. Yeah, you take it easy, Hephaestus. My brother, Glenzer, Zax, Penny, Zombie Box Reviews, Das Wolfen. Let me see, anybody else I'm missing? Hopefully not.
Yeah, I think we got
Gap After
most
Dark.
everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
And then very briefly at the beginning, Keely Chow.
Yep. And Keely Chow, my man, Roll Tide. Lady Miss. Yep. So wanted to thank everybody for being here. You guys have a great night. I'm going to say good topics, good show. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. That shit means a lot to us, man. I appreciate that. And you know, you guys will be seeing me throughout the week. So take it easy, Zax, man. You have a good night, man. So we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. You guys have a great evening. You know, I know Baron, he sent me a text message before just a little while ago. He said he got caught up in some other things, so he couldn't join us. You know, I understand that. So, but you know, if anything, you guys have a great night, and we will definitely catch y'all next time. Peace.
All right. See you.